Let me just explain to people the common law and chemtrails. The audience can draw their own conclusions, right?
Welcome to episode 2 of Spiritual Wisdom Meets Constitutional Power, a 4-part mini-series exploring the intersection of spirituality, health, and our fundamental rights. In episode 1, we began this journey with moving personal testimonies of resilience and healing, diving into near-death experiences that revealed profound spiritual truths and the incredible capacity of the human body to heal when aligned with nature and God's design. If you haven't seen episode 1 yet, be sure to check it out so you can follow along with this thought-provoking series. In today's episode, we're taking a closer look at some controversial but essential topics: chemtrails, weather manipulation, and how ancient common law principles might offer protection against modern-day challenges. This episode is packed with revelations that could change the way you see the world, so settle in as we uncover hidden truths and explore how the wisdom of the past can empower us in the present. This is more than just a conversation, it's a call to action for those seeking truth and deeper understanding in their lives. So whether you're here for inspiration, knowledge, or a new perspective, you're in the right place. In the event you don't know who he is, Graham Moore is a lifelong champion of individual rights and constitutional law, dedicating decades to upholding the principles of the English Constitution and the common law. As chairperson of the English Constitution Society, the English Constitution Party and English Exit, Graham has made it his mission to defend the sovereignty of the English people. His work resonates far beyond England, connecting principles of liberty to global movements for justice. One of Graham's landmark achievements was securing an injunction from the European Court of Human Rights to save the life of a 6-year-old child, standing firm against the British government in a case that exemplified his unwavering commitment to justice. Over his career, Graham has served as a Mackenzie friend, mentoring defendants and winning critical cases that have overturned convictions and exposed potential miscarriages of justice. Currently, Graham is at the forefront of major legal battles, including cases against the Metropolitan Police for alleged torture and ongoing high-profile appeals in the High Court. His courage in standing up for constitutional rights has not come without personal sacrifice. He has faced bans from social media platforms including Facebook and YouTube, set up by police and imprisoned, and even lost his job for standing by his principles. Through his Rumble channel and public advocacy, Graham's message is clear: the Constitution is the solution. His passion for sovereignty and individual liberty inspires countless people to stand up for their rights and embrace the principles that define a free and just society. So without further ado, let's pour a cuppa and dive into episode 2 of this groundbreaking mini-series, Spiritual Wisdom Meets Constitutional Power. Hidden Truths Revealed.
Well, I'm of the belief that we have this God-given vessel that's perfect in every way, which is why we're bombarded with poisons, whether it be the food, the water, and believe you me, I've read the Water Industry Act and the Water Fluoridation Act back to front. You know, I've looked at the components they put in. I've taken apart the legislation around it. They tell you exactly what they're doing. You know, you've only got to look up. And for example, I'm feeling a little bit under the weather. So I haven't caught a cold or a flu because that's the body's natural detoxification. That's the symptoms of my natural detox. What I've caught is chemtrails. Okay, that's it. So my body is particularly toxic at this time, giving me a sore throat, a bit of a headache. So I don't tell people I've caught a cold because you can't catch a fucking cold. But I have caught chemtrails. So I just say it how it is, which obviously if you're sat in the pub as I was Saturday night, I'm not much of a drinker, but I had an hour and a half free, having dropped my missus off at the local constitutional club. Now there's a laugh because they wouldn't even know what the Constitution is there, but she was going to a do there. So I caught up with a couple of pals down in my old manor down in Essex, and I was surrounded by empty vessels, unfortunately 2 souls that have something of an open mind. But the minute you mention your observations, what we can prove as a fact, that virology is a fraud, that the last 4 years is a fraud, that there are psychopaths getting into planes every day that have been hollowed out with giant canisters to spray chemical compounds and metal particulates to block out the sun and keep us sick. You point that out, and I've got more facts. I pull out the geoengineering report from the House of Commons 2009. There's 100 pages fucking telling people what they're doing, and people still say it's a conspiracy.
Well, so I've had
a bit of a rant there.
No, that's fine. The rants are good, especially when they make perfect sense. So let me just explain to people the common law and chemtrails, and then I'm going to explain to people the audience can draw their own conclusions, right? And that is this, that there was an article written in 1958, right? And it was in an American publication, and it went all the way back to 1940. My dad and my mum was caught in the Sidmouth downpour that was caused by, they know that, and it's been declared and declassified as seeding, cloud seeding. It killed somewhere in the region of 35 people, almost entirely washed away a village in Devon, Sidmouth in Devon. So when was that? 1952. How do I know that? Because my eldest sister was born in 1952, and my mum was carrying her at the time that happened, when they was on holiday from the factory that they worked in, right? So my dad was working in a factory. My mum obviously was heavily pregnant, and that situation happened. Now, I went and seen my dad, I don't know, 4 years. My dad's still alive, he's 94. And I didn't know. I didn't know that he'd been there. I said, listen, Dad, because he was talking to me about the government. You should trust the government.
Oh.
And then he says to me, this is me dad, when I'm always speaking out against the government and obviously challenging the government, he then says, boy, they're going to nut you off. And I say to him, Dad, which one is it? You either trust them or you don't. So if you trust them, why would they nut me off? Right?
You got a point.
So, and then we had a conversation. This is going back a few years, and this is during COVID though. And I said, listen, Sidmouth down in Devon, and then I started talking about the thing. You see his face change, the anger on his face, right? He said, I was there, right? And he went, what, you're telling me that was the government that did it? I said, yeah. And they've admitted it, right?
They've declassified that information, haven't they? You're right.
Yeah, they declassified it, and they told everyone, it's God, it's the weather. Now, I'm not telling you can control the weather. I am telling you they are manipulating the weather.
Yeah.
There's two different things, right? And they manipulate. And again, there's been major floods. There was a major flood in Essex, killed a lot of people. In fact, it was caused a deep depression. The sea levels rose, and everywhere got, including Canvey Island, right? Whole of this situation, they've been working on it a long time, right? Forget nuclear weapons. Weather weapons are far more destructive, dangerous, and guess what, people? They need something to try and disguise what they're doing. So what did they create? Something called climate change, right? It's not climate change. You're in a war and you're being attacked. That is what's going on, right? So when people start seeing all these different things, Turkey, a few years back.
Valencia the other day.
Valencia, right?
Yeah.
And the thing is, if there's already, this is the bit that people need to understand. If there's already a disposition for extreme weather in an area, right? And there is in that area in Spain, right? So that everyone keeps saying, well, historically it's happened before. That's what they look for, because what they do is then trigger that historical event because they know there is a predisposition for that area, and if we do this we can trigger it, and that's what they've done, right? The same thing happened with Turkey. So I'm not going to go into detail. Let's put it this way. Spain turned around and said we're not supplying a certain country any weapons. Next thing you know, 10 days later they get it, bang, right? Turkey started to flex its muscles. And let me tell you something, that is an army you don't want to fight, right? Started to flex its muscles on the side of Russia, right? In terms of the Ukraine. What happened? Earthquake. 20,000 people dead, right? Or whatever it was, right? So all I'm saying to you is if they know, and they do know, right, where these particular areas are, they'll target them, whether, and how they do it. I've got books on it. Don't forget, I come from an engineering background, right? I can read through things and get it. I may not be able to pronounce some of the words, but I understand what it is. And if I don't understand a word, I'll look it up, read it, understand what the word means, and understand a whole paragraph from a single word, which is the beauty of the English language, right? The whole point I'm trying to tell you and tell everyone listening to this, chemtrails is not only real, as Damian's just said to you, they're telling you they're doing it. What they're not telling you is why they're doing it and how they're doing it and etc. They're not telling you about the chemicals, right? So getting back to the article in 1958, and this was on my show, on the Full English show on Rumble, right? I went through that and I read it out. And the reason why I found it fascinating is because the person who wrote the article in 1958 was saying exactly what I was saying, right? That I've been telling people, and that is that the common law of England protects you against chemtrails. Why does it? Because in law, it is, and this is the bit where people need to make their own mind up. In law, it's trespass against a person and trespass against your property. You have a tort against the government for trespassing against your property, because one speck of that stuff lands on you, in your lungs, or on your ground, right? They have committed a tort against you. So how do you stop it? Group litigation order, right? And again, everyone must understand that it is the Crown that has contracted with you, and Parliament and the government is the Crown. And there is an original contract, right? Now, the original contract is private law, because that's the Declaration of Reasons, and then the Declaration of Rights. That was technically a contract, right? And then you've got something else called public law, which we're going to get into. But in effect, private law and the common law is the most powerful, right? So I want people to understand something, and this is where you draw your own conclusions. I said the same thing about the jibby-jabby, right? For lockdowns, for what they was doing, for the coercion, for everything they was doing. And what I said to them was, there is an ancient law in England, and it's in my law books that I've got here, right? And that ancient law is called public nuisance, and it carries the death penalty, right? That's how serious it is. And what it was to stop people, particular, they had a series of events where in England, they found that wells were being poisoned, right? That rivers were being poisoned. And what they did was, this law was public nuisance. And it meant if they knew that you had poisoned or a toxin had entered the stream river that was then feeding a village, and everyone in the village became ill or died, right? The common law offence of public nuisance, which carries a life sentence, would have taken effect, right? Now, I've been talking about this common law public nuisance and how powerful it was. And then during lockdown, just think about this, suddenly Parliament and the government decide to abolish it? All right. Let me tell you something. Right. Go back to 9/11, right? And they created something called the Patriot Act, right? Thousands of pages of law. What? And they created it like that? I don't think so. Right? What did the Patriot Act as an enabling act create? Department of Homeland Security. What did that create? Again, it's about authority shifting, right? It then created FEMA regions. What are FEMA regions? They're exactly the same as the regionalisation of England. The model for destroying England is the exact model that they are using to destroy the United States of America, because it's a common law jurisdiction. It may be a republic, but the executive functions of the crown have moved to an elected official, right? Which is the president of the United States. The common law can give you either a president or a crown, a monarchy. But we are a constitutional monarchy. We're not a constitutional democracy. Democracy is basically the mob rule, right? And taking control. So getting back to the original element of this, for people to make their own decisions, chemtrails is covered by the common law offence of public nuisance. You have a case not only against the government, but via a tort map. Everyone, so a tort map means you go through the responsibility and who is the lead person at the top, who are the people who actually made the decision to do this, right? And then you can sue them people. Again, people don't realise council tax, right? I always say to people with council tax, and you must understand, and again, from information that I've received and I've researched and looked at, and it's true, Parliament created, in effect, a law. Think of the Patriot Act, think of whatever idiot law they create as an enabler, right? Parliament created a law that allowed for laws to be passed without any of the monarchy's assent. The monarch had passed its prerogative of assent to Parliament. That is unconstitutional. It is ultra-vires, and they have created the laws that allow unlawfully for the councils to tax you because of that overarching structure. So people are not strategically thinking. So people going out there saying, I'm not paying my council tax, especially if you own your own property, are in effect individually fighting a fire. What you need to do is move up strategically, understand the law, understand our constitution, and turn the gas pipe off, right? And everyone, through a group litigation order, so again, you're then going to be up against judges who are Machiavellian, narcissists, psychopaths, that have been put in that position, again, unlawfully. Supreme Court is unlawful, right? It should not exist. Our structure of governance don't allow it, right? So without jumping onto too many subjects, if you think about BRICS and what's being created, right, by BRICS, remember the term multipolar. What is another way of saying multipolar, right? Separation of powers. God intended England to have a separation of powers, and Parliament, the monarchy, and judiciary have created a situation where they now declare that Parliament is sovereign. Parliament is not sovereign. The common law constitution is sovereign, and that gives power to you, the people, right? So once you understand how it should work, you understand that these people have been put into positions so you do not get enforcement of our constitution. And that's the most dangerous thing. Going back to the original conversation about the jibby-jabby and kids and all that, right? What is the most important thing to the human body? Nutrition. Why are you not taught it? Because they know that nutrition is what keeps you healthy, right? You wouldn't need all these strange concoctions coming from pharmaceuticals if your body was fully mineralized, vitamized, and amino acidized. In other words, the essential 90 that your body needs every single day, 98% of diseases would be solved, right? That's it.
I agree.
It's as simple as that. So why don't they teach doctors about nutrition? Because the doctors have been trained, right? Who buy it? The pharmaceuticals. Who's the biggest advertising budget out there in the world? Pharmaceuticals. Why? Because they're killing people. Because the same fallen angels are in charge of them companies, in charge of the advertising, in charge of doctors, right? They're the same people, right? That group of that personality trait gets in there, right? By design. So why is this important for people to understand it? Because as a human being, you need nutrition, proper nutrition. And your body, God give you everything. The universe give you everything. Whatever you want to describe it as, right? Give you everything you need to repair yourself. He even give you a brain that could repair itself, right? Everything.
And a body. And a body.
And a body that can repair itself. You just need to be well neutralized and fit, right? So that's you as a human being, as a person, right? As an individual, whatever you want to describe yourself as, I don't really care, right? The major point is nutrition is exactly the same as the Constitution. If you don't enforce it, if you leave bits out, if you are deficient in any way in your nutrition and you put that over into the Constitution, so imagine you're not enforcing certain laws, then society is going to be deficient in one of its balancings, what part of its balance, right? The Constitution is as crucial as nutrition. And what do? You put people in there that pull chunks of it out and say, we're not enforcing that, not enforcing that, not enforcing that, not enforcing that. What do you get? Society becomes sick, right? And that is what you're seeing. Society has become sick because you are ignoring God's law, right? That's what's happening out there. And the same people responsible for the pharmaceuticals and making us unwell are the same people, personality types, involved with law, involved with governance, involved with everything. So if you go back to England, we had a distributed governance system. What does that mean? It was multipolar. In other words, and so when I say multipolar and separation of powers, I want people to understand what this means. Do you think that the Crown, let's think about Prince Andrew. Do you think the Crown is going to throw him under the bus? Right. Voluntarily? No. Do you think that the Crown's going to throw and bearing in mind the Crown is a legal fiction, right? Do you think they're going to throw King Charles, not my king, by the way, under the bus? No. Of course. Do you think the Crown itself is going to do that? Of course it's not. So who's going to do it then? Well, the way England worked, either the judiciary would do it or Parliament would do it. That was the separation of powers. And what they've done is usurped that and declared unlawfully, the Halberry's Laws of England will tell you this, contempt of statute, contempt of sovereign, right? Still common law, still English law, right? If when they declare themselves as sovereign, they are actually in contempt of sovereign and contempt of statute. And the statutes I'm talking about are the statutes from the Glorious Revolution, right? And once people understand how powerful the Constitution is and the fact that it's not being enforced by the very people that are robbing you and paying them 250 grand a year pensions, driving them around in chauffeur-driven cars, and those people who were put in place to protect you are not protecting you. If you go back through our ancient laws and customs, there was one group of people that didn't need to be armed because the people would protect them, right? Do you know who they was? Judges. And once people understand, you say, what? Judges didn't have to carry guns or cutlasses or swords? No. The people knew how valuable they were, and they wouldn't allow you to hurt a judge. And that judge had massive respect, right? There's an opposite to this under ancient customs and rights, right? If a judge ever give a bad judgment purposely, fraudulently, in other words, literally lied, and it was obvious for everyone to see, the punishment was to cut their tongue out and then to banish them from England. They lost everything. That was part of the oath system. Where is that, right? You have to have a deterrent, right? You have to have a deterrent. If you don't have a deterrent, it was like when I was at school, I went to one school that came me at least once a week, some say every day, right? And then when I transferred to another school, I've always been against any form of authority, right? Trust me, it's a personality trait. One thing I will say to you, once I went to another school and the headmaster believed that no school should be corporate punishment, right? All the kids that behaved in the other school that moved to this new school that didn't have that punishment was all being naughty, was all messing about. It was like a madhouse, right? That's what I'm trying to say to you. You kept them people in line, but you still had people like me that would stand up and say, no, we ain't having it, right? It's a bit funny, and I shouldn't really have this. Does everyone remember the punk era, right? I mean, I was lucky because I was sort of in that as well, even though my mum and dad absolutely hated it, right? But what
I was at the back end of that. I like the music, funny enough, but I was right at the back end. I was a young boy, but I do remember it.
Well, again, it is funny in a way that all those rebellious Mohican chains coming off their ears to their nose and wearing the studded jackets, and you know, you couldn't have been more out of place if you wanted to be, right? But isn't it funny that them people are still the people today speaking out, right?
Yeah, true.
And it's a personality trait where you say, I will do what I want to do. I am an individualist, right? And that's what the punk era was really about. And if you go back to Johnny Rotten and all sorts of other people, the Sex Pistols, he was one of the first people to talk out. He was one of the first people to turn around and say, listen, this whole system is full of child molesters, right? Look at him now. I mean, he's married to an older woman. Sadly, she's died. You know, a great relationship, a normal, everyday geezer, but just stood up against the system and said no more. So we've covered a couple of weird, I mean, I know we've come on here to talk about rights. So it might be better if you want to sort of ask me a couple of questions and then I'll kick into that.
And that concludes part 2 of Spiritual Wisdom Meets Constitutional Power. Today we pulled back the curtain on hidden truths, chemtrails, weather manipulation, and the legal frameworks that can shield us from these unseen forces. But there's still so much more to uncover. In part 3 we'll explore the very foundation of our freedoms, what truly means to have rights, how they differ from privileges, and why understanding this distinction is crucial for reclaiming your sovereignty. It's a deep dive into the heart of empowerment, and you won't want to miss it. So join us next time for episode 3, where we continue this journey of truth, knowledge, and transformation. Be sure to click the like and subscribe buttons so you don't miss these riveting episodes. Until then, stay curious and stay empowered.
Ever grappled with the labyrinth that is the legal system? It's a maze of jargon, procedures, and power plays that can stump even the most intelligent among us. Enter How to Win in Court, a transformative course designed to level the playing field, brought to you by the dynamic partnership of Sovereign Empowerment and Dr. Frederick Graves. This course is like a compass, guiding you through the intricate passages of the legal system. It provides powerful case-winning strategies and tools for controlling solicitors and persuading judges. This isn't just about understanding the law, it's about empowering you to use the law to your advantage. This comprehensive course eliminates guesswork and empowers you to navigate the legal landscape with confidence. Imagine having step-by-step instructions at your fingertips, demystifying the complex world of court cases. With How to Win in Court, that's precisely what you'll get. There's a treasure trove of sample forms, video seminars, audio clips, and comprehensive classes waiting for you. Finally, you'll have all the tools you need to persuade and control judges in any case or court. The beauty of this course is its accessibility. Whether you're an early bird or a night owl, you can dive into the course material anytime with round-the-clock online access. And no matter the device, be it your smartphone, tablet, or laptop, you'll have seamless access to the course. You'll also gain access to invaluable tools like the free online legal research tool, legal dictionary, and a Q&A forum. Learn from a seasoned attorney with over 40 years of winning experience who has distilled his expertise into this comprehensive program. These resources are like having a personal legal advisor, always ready to assist you, but without having to pay exorbitant legal fees. For those struggling to afford a solicitor, this course is a beacon of hope. Good people have suffered too long at the hands of power because they didn't know how to fight back, or they didn't have access to the right resources. Now, in a matter of just a few days, you can acquire the tools and the knowledge that it takes law students years to achieve. With the right knowledge and tools, you'll be able to navigate the legal waters with confidence, winning your case without expensive legal representation. Alternatively, if you already have a solicitor, you can equip them with the tools and tactics to fight effectively on your behalf. Level the playing field and secure your victory. And the cherry on top? Upon course completion, you'll receive an honorary law degree, a testament to your newfound legal prowess. No matter what court, civil or criminal, you'll be able to conquer any courtroom challenge with ease. This step-by-step guidance ensures a quick and straightforward learning experience, empowering you to navigate the legal system with bulletproof confidence. That's right, the power to navigate the legal system is now within your reach. All it takes is the will to learn and the courage to empower yourself. Everyone deserves access to the right legal knowledge. That's why we offer the jurisdictionary law course at an unbeatable price. For less than the cost of a 1-hour legal consultation, you'll gain unlimited access to this complete program for up to 2 full years. Take control of your legal battles without breaking the bank. So why wait? Enroll in the jurisdictionary course today and take that first step towards legal empowerment. How to Win in Court has become the most trusted law course worldwide for almost 30 years. Don't miss out on this exclusive opportunity to gain the upper hand in the courtroom. Your journey to mastering the legal system starts here. When you have access to the right resources, you will become a force to be reckoned with in any courtroom. So click the link now to become empowered with all the information you'll ever need to know how to win in court. Learn how to use the court system that is there to protect you, your family, your property, and most of all, your rights.